So far, we've asked how input demand responds to changes in input prices. We'll now ask how input demand responds to changes in the output price. As before, the degree of substitutability between capital and labor is important, and we'll illustrate this here by graphing two extreme cases. One case where capital and labor are perfect complements, and another where they are perfect substitutes. We'll start by assuming a wage, WA, and a rental rate, RA, that'll remain the same throughout this animation. They'll remain the same because we're going to focus on a change in the output price, P. If capital and labor are perfect complements, then all the cost minimizing bundles will lie on the 45-degree line where the corners of the isoquants happen. We'll begin by assuming that the production plan A is the one production plan along this ray from the origin that is also profit maximizing. In other words, at the original output price PA, it is profit maximizing to use LA units of labor and KA units of capital to produce XA units of the output. Now suppose that the output price increases from its original level of PA. In the short run, the firm's capital is fixed, and so it can't really do anything to take advantage of the higher output price. Simply hiring more labor won't do anything if it can't also hire more capital, because the two are perfect complements. As a result, the firm will continue to keep its same labor input in the short run and produce the same level of output in the short run. In other words, point A is equal to point B, where A was the original profit maximizing production plan, and B is the new short-run profit maximizing production plan when the price increases. In the long run, however, the firm can increase its level of capital, and with it, the amount of labor it hires. We know that as output price increases, the firm moves up its long-run supply curve, and therefore, as output price increases, the firm will produce more and move up along the 45-degree line, increasing labor and capital at the same rate to get to the final profit maximizing production plan, C. We have therefore illustrated a case where there is no labor demand response in the short run to an increase in the output price, but there is a positive labor demand response in the long run. In panel B, we'll assume the same input prices as in panel A, and therefore the same slope for all the isocosts as we did in panel A. Now, however, we'll assume that labor and capital are perfect substitutes in production, and the firm will always choose the cheaper of the two. Suppose that the wage initially is higher than the rental rate. This implies that the firms will always choose only capital if they are cost minimizing. In other words, the ray from the origin that contains all the cost minimizing bundles is now the vertical axis. We'll assume that of all the cost minimizing production plans that lie on the vertical axis, the production plan A is also the profit maximizing production plan. In other words, it's currently profit maximizing to produce output level XA using only capital KA and no labor input. When the output price increases, the firm can't change its level of capital in the short run. All it can do is move on the horizontal slice that's located at the current capital level KA. But it can hire labor, and so it can take advantage of the increase in the output price and produce more. It'll therefore hire some labor, and its new short-run profit maximizing production plan B will lie somewhere at the level of KA with some positive amount of labor. There's therefore a positive short-run labor response to an increase in the output price for the example we've illustrated in panel B. Long-run profit maximizing production plans, however, must be cost minimizing, and since the input prices haven't changed, all the cost minimizing production plans still lie on the vertical axis. Thus, in the long run, when the firm can adjust its level of capital, it'll have to get back to a production plan on the vertical axis, but one with more output, since output price has gone up. It'll therefore end up at some production plan like production plan C, where no labor is hired, but more capital has been employed. We have therefore illustrated a case where there is a positive short-run labor demand response from an increase in output price, but no long-run response. The cases graphed in panel A and panel B are therefore polar opposites in terms of the impact on labor. An increase in the output price in panel A causes no change in labor demanded in the short run, but a positive change in the long run, whereas in panel B it causes a positive change in labor demand in the short run with no change in labor demand in the long run. We can therefore again see that the degree of substitutability between capital and labor is important for predicting how changes in output prices will influence labor demand. Of course, there are lots of in-between cases where labor and capital are neither perfectly complementary nor perfectly substitutable, but the closer they are to perfect substitutes, the closer will be to the case in panel B, where an increase in labor demanded will be larger in the short run than in the long run, and the closer we are to perfect complements, the closer will be to the case in panel A, where the short run labor response will be small relative to the long run labor response.